मोदी जी आपका ऑटोग्राफ चाहिए। यह अपने आप में बताता है आज आपके नेतृत्व में, आपकी शख्सियत के कारण बदलते भारत को दुनिया किस तरीके से देखती है, यह बताता है। उन्होंने आपसे इस बात की भी चर्चा की कि आपसे मेरी एक शिकायत है, आप अगले महीने हमारे यहां अमेरिका में आने वाले हैं और अमेरिका की सरकार एक स्टेट डिनर रखी है और उस स्टेट डिनर में मुझे लोगों की शिकायतें आ रही हैं कि मुझे भी निमंत्रण चाहिए, आमंत्रण चाहिए, हम भी मोदी जी से मिलना चाहते हैं और इसकी व्यवस्था की जाए। इस तरीके की बातचीत भारत के अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति मोदी जी के बारे में कहते हैं।
While PM Modi returns back to his homeland, we have with us Arun joining us on the broadcast. Arun, what more details can you get us from the ground?
Well, see, Prime Minister Modi reached here at Palam Technicality.
Do you go with the crowd or do you look at the data yourself and cut against the grain? And I chose to do the latter.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' attempt to declare his candidacy for president in a unique way, with Twitter owner Elon Musk on Twitter Spaces, an audio-only platform, plagued by technical issues at the start.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat.
But server issues caused the rollout to be plagued with problems, with Team DeSantis tweeting, quote, "It seems we broke the internet with so much excitement. While you're waiting, donate now."
We must look forward, not backwards. We need the courage to lead, and we must have the strength to win.
DeSantis also asked about the NAACP issuing a travel advisory against his state, claiming Florida is not safe for minorities to visit.
Claiming that Florida is unsafe is a total farce. I mean, are you kidding me?
Wednesday's Twitter event, the latest move in DeSantis' presidential campaign rollout. He filed paperwork earlier Wednesday with the Federal Election Commission. On Tuesday, DeSantis' wife, Casey, tweeted a hype video encouraging supporters to sign up for campaign updates.
America has been worth it every single time.
DeSantis jumps in the Republican primary following.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is The Right Stand with me, Poonam Burde. In 3 days from now, India will get a new parliament, a symbol of new India, a self-reliant India and a parliament that would mark 75 years of independent India. The construction of the original parliament building was completed in 1927. It's almost a century-old structure now. It's increasingly being found to be inadequate, and the need for such a building was called for by many, including Congress leaders. But when India celebrates this historic moment of throwing open to the country this new building, 21 opposition parties will be conspicuous with their absence. Over the last 1 week, the opposition has accused the Prime Minister of hijacking the event as a personal PR exercise. A vanity project of the Prime Minister is what they called it. They said that the BJP and the central government was insulting the first citizen of this country, the President. That has prompted them to boycott this event altogether. On the other hand, we have 18 parties of the NDA alliance along with several others who say that they will put the country above their politics, which is why they will attend this momentous occasion. Now, while the BJP and the opposition trade barbs, today the Prime Minister made a cryptic comment, but there was a lot to read between the lines. He didn't name anyone, he didn't name the opposition, but the message was very, very clear. Because even as rivals are calling for boycott of the new inauguration of the new parliament, Prime Minister Modi today took a subtle dig at the opposition right after he landed in India, right after he attended that Sydney event that he did at the diaspora, with the diaspora, and he returned home. He invoked that particular event to drive home his point. The PM said that the diaspora event in Sydney was attended by opposition leaders there as well. He pointed out how the event was graced by not just the Prime Minister, his counterpart of Australia, Anthony Albanese, but there were former Prime Minister that was present. There were members of Parliament from the opposition parties too. The Prime Minister asserted that the fact that all of them were present together, that symbolizes the strength of democracy. That is the true beauty and strength of democracy, is what the Prime Minister said. He also then went on to say that all of these parties, irrespective of their ideologies, came together to participate in an event that had nothing to do with them per se. It was an Indian communities event, an Indian diaspora event for the Indian Prime Minister. And yet, we had several such people come together on one stage because that's how we celebrate democracy. Listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say this morning.
भारतीय समुदाय का जो कार्यक्रम था, वहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया के प्रधानमंत्री का आना गौरव की बात थी। लेकिन इतना ही नहीं, उस समारोह में पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भी थे। उस समारोह में पूरी अपोजिशन पार्टी के मेंबर्स थे, रूलिंग पार्टी के मेंबर्स थे। ये लोकतंत्र का वातावरण ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लोग में भारतीयों के प्रति, चाहे पक्ष सत्ता का हो, चाहे पक्ष विपक्ष का हो, सबके सब मिलजुल करके भारतीय समुदाय के इस कार्यक्रम में उतने ही उमंग और उत्साह के साथ शरीक हुए थे।
Now, allegations are flying thick and fast over this inauguration. But who is it that's really insulting the parliament, the temple of our democracy? Who is indulging in a game of one-upmanship as far as the politics goes? Now, remember, the opposition, a united one at that, 21 parties put out a joint statement. That was countered by NDA parties, at least 13 of them, that put their signature on a letter rebutting every single allegation the opposition made. For example, the opposition said that the Prime Minister has completely sidelined the President. To which the NDA came out and said that the opposition's preaching about decency and protocol is completely laughable. They said this was hypocrisy. The opposition then said that it's a completely undignified act by the Prime Minister and by this government. The highest constitutional post was being insulted, which is the President's office. To which the NDA retorted that this was nothing but a flagrant disrespect towards the institution of the Parliament by the opposition. The fact that they were boycotting an event that was meant for the people of this country. The opposition then alleged that the Prime Minister has relentlessly hollowed out the Parliament, and this is just one such example. To which the NDA reminded that over the last 9 years, the opposition has shown scant regard for procedures as far as parliamentary processes are concerned. Some very strong words were used by the opposition yesterday when they said the soul of democracy itself was being sucked out of the Parliament, which is why we don't need to be at this event, is what they said. To which the BJP and its allies came out and said that the disregard by opposition for democratic processes has been seen on multiple occasions in the past, and this is one such example. Now, if the opposition's concern as far as insult to the President's office is genuine, let me put some facts together. Why have they been consistently choosing to boycott the President's speeches in Parliament over the years? There are just few instances that I would like to point out too. In 2019, in November, 18 opposition parties led by the Congress Party skipped the President's special address on Constitution Day. Then in Jan 2021, another 18 opposition parties, including Congress, TMC, DMK and the NCP, boycotted President Kovind's speech ahead of the budget. In November the same year, 13 opposition parties skipped the Constitution Day event again in Parliament. Earlier this year, in January in 2023, BRS and the Aam Aadmi Party boycotted President Murmu's speech in Parliament as well. So was that not an insult to the first citizen of this country? That's what the BJP asks. But listen in to what the opposition has had to say on this entire controversy.
Opposition parties, Congress party particularly, has consulted all the opposition 19 parties, and everybody has come on board on one issue, that the Parliament is supreme, and the President of India is the person, whomever is the President of India. The Constitution, Article 79 clearly states that thing. Therefore, we wanted that Honorable President Droupadi Murmu ji should be invited to inaugurate the Parliament. That only we conveyed to the government. Because of the arrogance of the government, because of the arrogant nature of this government, they are not ready to do that thing. They are insulting the President, they are insulting the women of the country. They are insulting the tribals of this country.
कल केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री श्री अमित शाह जी ने सेंटर विस्टा की ओपनिंग को लेकर बताया कि सिंगोल जो है वो राष्ट्रीय चिन्ह होगा। सवाल ये कि राष्ट्रीय चिन्ह तो हमारा अशोक चिन्ह है, जो हजारों साल से हमारी बुद्ध जो हमारी रीति रिवाज हैं, जो स्कूल ऑफ थॉट है, जो धर्म है, उसका एक सिंबल भी रहा है। और ये सिंगोल कहां से आ गया? ये सिंगोल तो एक धार्मिक मान्यता का प्रतीक है। भारत हमारा कोई धार्मिक देश तो है नहीं, तो ये सीधे सीधे बुद्ध धर्म से जुड़े हुए अशोक चिन्ह हमारी भारतीय जनता पार्टी सरकार को बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा था।
संसद भवन के उद्घाटन समारोह में हम लोग नहीं जाएंगे, इसलिए कि इतिहास को बदलने का प्रयास होगा। अब ये इतिहास बदलने में उनके भागीदार नहीं होंगे। राष्ट्रपति को भी अगर संसद भवन बना ही था तो राष्ट्रपति को बुलाना चाहिए था, प्रधानमंत्री को अनुमति मिलेगा, इसलिए हम लोग उसका बहिष्कार।
देखिए, हमने पहले ही कहा कि हम इससे दूर रहेंगे, हम उसमें शिरकत नहीं करेंगे। मामला उसूलों का है, मामला मर्यादा का है, सम्मान का है। क्योंकि देखिए, हमारा जो आईन है उसमें सबसे बुलंद मर्तबा है पार्लियामेंट का। बनता ये है कि इस सबसे बड़े, जिसका सबसे बड़ा मुकाम है पार्लियामेंट का, इसका इफ्ताह भी वही करे जिसको हम फर्स्ट सिटीजन कहते हैं, जो उसका मुकाम सबसे ज़्यादा है, सबसे ऊंचा है।
नई संसद के अंदर नए भारत की रचना के लिए मनन हो, चिंतन हो, चर्चा हो, मगर आप तो प्रधानमंत्री जी को भूलने भी।
Has the PM's message left the opposition completely stumped? Is this about propriety or is it just petty politics? That's the big debate we have on the right stand. And joining me on the broadcast, spokesperson of the BJP, Nalan Kohli, Mohan Kumar Mangalam, spokesperson of the Congress, also with me, Manojit Mandal, political analyst leading towards the TMC, joins us on this broadcast, and spokesperson of the YSRCP, Ravi Chandra Reddy, also with me. And I want to start by asking Mohan Kumar Mangalam. Today, what the Prime Minister said after he landed in Australia, the event that he spoke of in Sydney, the diaspora event, where he said that not just the Prime Minister, not just his counterpart, but several opposition leaders were also present. He said that was the strength of democracy. The fact that 3 days from now, when the Parliament is opened up to the country, it's dedicated to the country, the opposition is going to be missing. That is not the strength of democracy, is what the Prime Minister was trying to say. How do you have to respond to that?
I think it's up to the Prime Minister whether he wants to or not have the opposition there. All the opposition is doing is making a simple request of having the President be at the event, and the Vice President is also the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The Prime Minister outside of the Parliament is the Prime Minister. Inside, he's a member of Parliament. In his cabinet, he is merely first among equals. And I'm quoting Mr. Sardar Patel when I say this. And I think he should have the graciousness to listen to the opposition and allow the President to attend and inaugurate the event. The President of the first citizen, after all, the President and the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha together are what the Parliament comprises of. So I think whether democracy is being upheld here or democracy is being maintained is very much in the hands of the Prime Minister, if he chooses to listen to the opposition or if he tries to ride roughshod over the opposition as he always has.
But is the onus only on the Prime Minister and the government? Can the opposition, as a responsible opposition in this country, not be magnanimous enough and keep the politics aside and be there? The President and the Vice President are not going to be completely missing. There is going to be a message from those two that is going to be read out at this particular event, is what we've learned.
We have been saying ad nauseum, we've been saying from the very beginning that we require the President and the Vice President, more importantly the President, who's the first citizen, to be present at such a momentous occasion. You're asking the opposition to be magnanimous, and I'm telling you, we're not playing politics here. We're merely going by constitutional propriety and our norms.
Sure.
We believe these democratic norms should be followed. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, believes that every event is an event that he wants to make himself or put himself at the center of. So it's not our job to be his cheerleaders. We're here to represent the will of the country. And we believe that the democracy and our constitution is worth preserving. And these norms that have been carrying on for ages are worth preserving. We are merely asking the Prime Minister to follow these norms.
Sure, it's the will of the people, it's the will of the democracy and the country that the opposition is upholding. But don't you think, Nalan Kohli, that the will of the people is the fact that those people are represented in the parliament, including members of the opposition? Shouldn't they then be there?
Of course they should be there. But if they choose not to be there, then what do they want? Everyone to go out there and say, no, no, you have to be there. They are the ones who are deciding to boycott. The government hasn't asked them not to be there. The government has said, you should be there. We also feel they should be there. But they're choosing to boycott it. So I was hearing very carefully what the learned Congress spokesperson was speaking. Very nice words. And he used some important words. But the problem is these important words have nothing to do with their own actions. Let's take the words in terms of norms that have been followed forever. So when Srimati Indira Gandhi, when she inaugurated the Parliament Annex building, she inaugurated it. She did not have the President of India inaugurate it. When the late Shri Rajiv Gandhi, as Prime Minister, inaugurated the library building, he chose also to do it himself, not invite the Honorable President of India. Then let's go to Jharkhand, which was a UPA Congress, that period, an opposition state. Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, state after state. When the assembly was inaugurated or something to do with the assembly, Sonia Gandhi ji was there, others were there, but the President of India or the governor of the state, who is the first citizen of the state, was not invited. So what norms are to be followed? I am not able to understand. These are the norms that have been clearly shown by the UPA Congress and the Congress before that, from Indira ji's time right up to Rajiv Gandhi ji, and continued into the UPA era.
But
and when
Kohli,
the BJP
sorry to interrupt
is doing
you there.
something which can compare, one minute, let me finish it.
Sure, go ahead.
You say follow the norms. That's one. Okay, you were asking something, please.
Yes, but the opposition says, Nalan Kohli, that this is not a fair comparison to make as far as inauguration of a library or a parliament annex is concerned. It's comparing apples to oranges.
Okay. So no, it's not. It's within the same compound where another building has come. So let's take this up also. When Narendra Modi ji spoke about a new parliament building, they said it's a wasteful expenditure. They call it a vanity project. That means you didn't like the project from day one. You don't believe that Parliament of India, which the old building is over 100 years old, that the new building is required, more facilities are required, space is short, security issues are there. So all of this, they were against it. So essentially, they are against it from day one. Now they are finding excuses. First you oppose the building itself. Then you have a problem with the emblems. Then you have a problem with the date. Why is it on 28th? Why on Savarkarji's day? Why not 27th? Why not 29th? Without understanding that it may have something to do with scheduling also. Then they are now who should inaugurate it. Then they say you must have the grace to listen to the opposition. Or in February 2023 in the Rajya Sabha, when the Honorable Prime Minister of India was responding to the debate, the opposition spoke, then he was answering. They were chanting slogans not allowing him to speak. So I'm just asking, what are these nice words about? Follow norms, show the grace to listen. They do exactly the opposite. So don't ask or say things that you don't mean.
Sure, Mr. Kumar Mangalam is propriety and protocol as per convenience. Apart from the fact, apart from the things that Mr. Nalan Kohli has listed, there have been several other occasions where the President's office may not have gotten the same respect as you claim to give them today, because the opposition has boycotted several of the addresses of the President that have happened in Parliament.
My learned friend, Mr. Kohli, made a number of points. So allow me to respond to them one at a time. One, yes, Mrs. Indira Gandhi did inaugurate that building in 1975, but the foundation stone of that same building was laid by President V.V. Giri. And I made these points yesterday in the debate, so I feel I'm repeating myself a bit. But because he's brought it up, I have to tell you that then there was a library that was inaugurated by the President K.R. Narayanan. I think it was in 2002, if I'm not wrong. So in the Prime Minister's case, he's chosen to corner both ends of the event, so to speak. And Mr. Rajiv Gandhi laid the foundation stone. He didn't inaugurate it. He passed away. I'm sure if he was around at that time and as Prime Minister, he would have allowed the President to have one end of that event, which is either the foundation stone laying or the inauguration. The other thing Mr. Kohli said is that we have a building that's really old, it was built in 1921. You must understand what the Prime Minister is doing here. I will still maintain rather our opposition to this, what I consider as wasteful expenditure of going ahead and building a brand new entire central Vista. Because if you look at countries around the world, whether that be the Reichstag in Germany, whether it be the UK Parliament building, or the US Congress Capitol building, the French building, all of it was built much, much earlier than ours was in 1722, 1793. And every single country chose to preserve their heritage and chose to preserve that particular building and build around it or reconstruct or re-establish. But the Prime Minister has this feeling in him that he wants to be part of moments of history that he could not have been in the past. So he feels that he needs to create these moments of history, which I don't begrudge him. He feels that that's his calling, and let him do that. Our only opposition is that we believe that he isn't the only person there and the first citizen of the country. It is extremely important for them to be at the event. Lastly, he mentioned many legislative assemblies. I'd love to ask him that if he doesn't see a difference between an elected first citizen of India and an appointed governor who's inaugurating a state assembly. Let's not forget the magnitude of what we're talking about here. I'm in no way shortchanging how momentous this particular occasion is. It is a brand new parliament. We're almost discarding the older structure altogether. It is the temple of Indian democracy, and my only submission at the end of this is to say that you cannot consecrate any temple of democracy without the opposition. And that's exactly what Mr. Modi is trying to do.
It's a simple demand, Nalin Kohli, that the opposition has. Invite the president, and then they'll be there, and then that will be the festival of democracy that the BJP wants. It's a simple demand, they say. Why don't the BJP and the government that's in power be gracious enough to do so?
It was a simple demand that we should have, without a contest, a lady president, that too from the tribal community, which was rejected. There was a contest. There were words inappropriate used by several Congress leaders. So it doesn't sound, it's always made to sound simple. As we say, you can't have one set of norms to preach and another set of norms to follow. And that's exactly what the Congress is doing. And let me answer this in terms of the opposition. It's not all the opposition. It is part of the opposition. So let's start taking party by party, and with no disrespect to them. RJD, 0 members of parliament. RLD, 0 members of parliament. Aam Aadmi Party, 1. Left Front across the country, 6. Samajwadi Party, 3. One more party from Kerala, 1. I mean, 6 parties have 11 seats. So they say 19 parties have opposed, but they will not talk about, say, the BJD, which has more seats than all of these 6, 7, 8 parties. They will not talk about the Telugu Desam. There are other parties also. So if you go by numbers and say 19 are boycotting it, then there are numbers, even though some may have equally less numbers, of some 15, 20 parties that are not boycotting it. So these are essentially coming from the mindset of the Congress. They never wanted anything to happen which would be rated as a success in the Modi tenure. That is why they use words against Prime Minister Modi in terms of personal derogatory words. So I think every day their demand would shift. It's almost like saying, okay, now you've acceded to this, no, you should also accede to this, otherwise I'm not saying yes. That's why I gave the example of February. They wanted a debate, they got a debate, everybody heard their debate. When the time to hear the answer came, they interrupted by chanting slogans in the Rajya Sabha while the Prime Minister of India was speaking. Let's come to the governor of a state. He is the first citizen. Just as the work of the central government is transacted in the name of the president, the same is happening in a state. The state assembly passes a law, it has to receive the assent of the governor. There is no difference, it's paramateria. One relates to a state, one relates to the country. So you say, no, parliament is momentous, but a state assembly is not momentous for a state. That's why I said, the Congress is choosing a set of arguments to preach, while in practice, it's exactly opposite to those arguments.
Manojit Mandal, you're shifting goalposts. The opposition, a united one at that? is shifting goalposts one after the other.
How we are shifting goalposts?
That's the allegation against you.
They can have allegations like that, but the fact remains that BJP are defending the indefensible by not inviting the President of India, by picking off certain presidents. That means why lies the difference between you and the Congress party? It's all the same. The same tradition is going on forever. If you wanted to have a new kind of system in place, you should have followed the consent. If you have followed the first citizen of this country, whom you are respecting a lot, that's what you claim. But when it comes to practice, you are disrespecting the chair and the person and the communities that she represents as a whole. It's very simple. For God's sake, it is said, it is a convention that the parliament belongs to the opposition. And look at how the opposition has been treated so far. I mean, I'm talking about All India Trinamool Congress. 19 of their MPs periodically were suspended during the farm law agitation. Under 267, no discussion is happening. The bills, 10% of the bills are discussed in the parliament, 90% are passed without any discussion. Forget about going to the select committees and so on and so forth. That is the tradition that you have created in the last 7-8 years. You are talking about respecting the opposition. Now you are disrespecting, dishonoring the chair of the president, who is supposed to be the head of the parliament. This is not the event of the parliament, but this has become BJP's government's event. And for God's sake, Mr. Kohli, you are talking about the numbers.
But Mr. Bannerjee Mandal, who's making this a BJP event? Is it the government and the BJP or the opposition? Because the opposition has decided to not go.
They have. First of all, when the country was under tatters, there was cemetery virtually on the streets of Delhi during 2021, that second COVID wave. During that point of time, these brutally obscene scenes were happening in the parliament. They were constructing the parliament. We opposed that. You could have waited.
It was opposed in the Supreme Court as well, but the Supreme Court did rule in the favor of the project and the work being done.
Supreme Court will never interfere into this kind of events of the government. That's very law. But you had a consensus when the country was needing money during the second wave of COVID. You are spending this money. Yes, we need space, but did you need to spend 20,000 crores to have this kind of a lavish project? Please ask this consensus. A country where people are still living under the poverty line, 30% of the people are still having only 2 square meal. They're not even having the proper meals. Do you need this kind of lavish luxury? For God's sake. What will people? You are comparing yourself with Australia.
With due respect, this is perhaps the exact thing that the BJP is talking about, that you are changing goalposts. It started with why the project is needed in the first place, to then the cost, to then the inauguration date, to now who's inaugurating it.
I can talk about the party that I represent at time. It's a consistent position since 2021. This kind of lavish, luxurious buildings or the project was absolutely not necessary.
Sure.
It was avoidable. It's an expenditure that should have been used for a better purpose. I repeat, still the Bengal government owes the money from the government as far as COVID is concerned. Forget about the other money. You are not even giving out the due legitimate money that the Bengal government needs.
Sure.
The GST on the count of other firms. And you are spending this much of money for constructing this kind of building.
Sure, but is the event on 28th being boycotted by the TMC because the cost of the project or because the president is not there?
For every other issues. Then comes the biggest jolt. You are not inviting the President of India. You're insulting the community that he represents. What are you talking about? You do not respect the opposition. That's fact. I have given you the facts. The opposition voice is cattle. And for God's sake, Mr. Kohli, now the farm law has been taken back. And for that farm law, you insulted the party leader, TMC party leader in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Derek O'Brien, saying that he was assaulting the speaker or the chairperson. Now you have to take back the farm law. Please, it's time to apologize, not just to All India Trinamool Congress, but to the entire opposition for what you have done during the farm law agitation by suspending MPs after MPs. And now you are talking
when the members of parliament were suspended, unfortunately, there was
arrogance of power.
Unfortunately, there was unparliamentary behavior from all sides. We saw the kind of behavior that came to the fore from opposition members of parliament as well. But let's not get into that. You say this is a BJP event, and let me get in the spokesperson of the YSRCP, Ravichandran Reddy, as well. He's been patiently waiting. Now, YSRCP is not within the NDA alliance. They've not seen eye to eye with the BJP on multiple issues. Why, Mr. Reddy, then have you agreed to attend this particular event, be a part of this event?
Good evening, madam. We are participating. Our government, YSRCP government sitting in Andhra Pradesh, and YSRCP party supremo and leader, Sri Y. Jagannath Reddy ji said categorically that we are attending each and every parliamentary member of our party. Because we are having 22 Lok Sabha MPs and 10 plus from Rajya Sabha. Around 30 plus people we are having, all of we are going to represent to grace the occasion for this historic moment, to show the solidarity of this great event in name of democracy. Maybe flags may be different, agendas may be different. This huge monumental occasion, after 75 years independence, आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव होने का समय में जो हो रहा है, इसको हम किसी भी कारण से हमने ठुकराना नहीं चाहिए. एजेंडा अलग अलग रहता होगा. कोई भी सॉलिडारिटी ऑफ द अपोजिशन शो करने के लिए, शो ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ करने के लिए, ये एक माहौल बनाने के लिए ये जो होने जा रहा है, ये अच्छी बात नहीं है देश के लिए. पूरा दुनिया देख रहा है हमको. Entire country's event. This is a historic event.
Sure.
This should be from each and every parliamentarian from our point of view. I respect Nalin Koili ji. He named Telugu Desam Party. They are having only 3 MPs in Andhra Pradesh. We are having 30 plus MPs in Andhra Pradesh. You have not named us, that we are showing solidarity for this historic occasion. And I want to say one more thing. Entire world is watching. This solidarity should be shown from each and every parliamentarian. These allegations can be leveled after this occasion also. Even for court also, the matter is impending. So this should not be a cause to show the solidarity of the opposition.
Sure. So, Mr. Kumar Mangalam, the opposition accuses the BJP of making this about the Prime Minister. You are at the receiving end of an allegation that you are making this about a show of strength, a show of unity of the opposition, perhaps with an eye on 2024.
If we are making it a show of strength for the opposition, then why is it that the Bharatiya Janata Party felt compelled to bring together their own alliances and send a letter back? What was the need for condemning what was basically a request from our side? A number of parties came together. Many of them are not in alliance with us in many places. They oppose us in many places. But we have found common cause on this one issue. This does not guarantee that we are going to be in alliance with them in the forthcoming elections either. There are many parties in there which we might not ally with in their particular states. We directly oppose them. So I don't see this as having anything to do with 2024. We didn't sign a letter as the UPA, but the NDA replied. If anyone's doing politics here, it seems to be the BJP.
Ms. Nalin Kohli, why did the BJP and the NDA have to come out with that letter? The opposition was making a request, as Mr. Kumar Mangalam has been saying since the beginning of the show. And it's a simple request. Call the president. We'll all be there. Let's celebrate this occasion.
It's not a simple request. I've been telling you again and again through the show. Now, how is it a simple request? When they follow one set of norms, then say follow another set of norms. Let's even come to this. What the opposition calls a simple request is a threat. Do it this way or we'll boycott, and we'll boycott. So, I mean, now it's a new thing. I will disrespect the launch. I will not participate despite being an elected member of parliament. I will do politics over this, and you have to do it this way, otherwise I will not attend, and that's a request. So, I mean, these are nice words, but nice words have to be followed by intent, and have to be followed by some consistency and action yourself also. No?
Monojit Mandal, I see your hand up there. Kumar Mangalam, I'll come. Kumar Mangalam, I'll come to you, but Monojit Mandal, go ahead.
When you are evidently insulting the Constitution of India, under which all the members of the parliament take their oath, why lies the question of attending? by not inviting the President of India, by not listening to the opposition. Again, I repeat, who should own the parliament? Because it belongs to the opposition. That is the convention in this country. You and I know this. You are talking about we are boycotting and we are threatening you. No, a simple protest. It's a show of dissent which is not allowed inside the parliament. There's a symbolic show of dissent which you do not allow inside the parliament because you have the number, you're talking about the number, and with all due respect, sir, may I ask you, can you tell me which party has the second digit, double digit number in the NDA after you? Can you tell me the name of that party? You are talking about the number? Please tell me, if you remember, do you have any party in India alliance with double digit apart from BJP? The answer is clearly no. So please do not talk about number. You can't even control your own alliances. Shiv Sena has left, Shiromani Akali Dal has left, and JDU also has left. So please do not talk about how to handle the unity of the opposition. Please
but
look
this is not
within.
about the unity of the opposition at all, sir.
You have trampled upon the democracy in this country, and parliament
but Banerjee
is
Mandal,
the
the allegation that you make now against the BJP about disrespecting the president's office, disrespecting the first citizen of this country, can you deny that TMC has been part on at least 3 occasions in the last 3 years where they have boycotted the president's address in parliament? Wasn't that disrespect to the president's office?
Exactly, I was about to say the same thing.
I tell you, sir. Unlike the governor of West Bengal, when the former governor of West Bengal, who never used to read the government's document, very unfortunately, the President of India reads the document of the government sent to her. That's very unfortunate. Glossing over the real event, glossing over the plight of the people, and that is the simple reason that many political parties, including Trinamool Congress, boycotted the address. It was not the address of the president, but the address of the government led by BJP.
Which is perhaps why the opposition today faces the allegation and is at the receiving end of criticism that they use this protocol and parliamentary procedure and respect for the president's office as nothing but an excuse of convenience.
What is the parliamentary procedure, madam? Parliamentary procedure is to suspend MPs after MPs like a headmaster of a school when the speaker is in the chair. Even if we show the resistance, democratically you suspend us, you muzzle our voice.
Banerjee Mandal, with due respect, we've also seen when there have been times when the speaker has been trying to quiet the house to get business done and there have been papers thrown at his face. Unfortunately, we've seen those scenes as well in the parliament. Can you deny that?
Is parliamentary procedure not to allow any discussion on the bill? Is parliamentary procedure not to allow any discussion under
Banerjee Mandal, I asked you a simple question.
You are talking about parliamentary procedure, you are talking about the protocols. Does the government follow any protocol inside the parliament? Does the government listen to the voice of the opposition?
So is this a tit-for-tat situation? Is that where we're headed? That just because the BJP or the centre doesn't let the opposition do it too and let this continue?
We are helpless. We are helpless because we are not allowed to show the strength of dissent inside the parliament. Even outside the parliament, if some people criticize it, you arrest us. That's what is happening many times. Even journalists are being put in jail. So where do we go? This is simple symbolic show of protest and resistance to a government which
So it's not an insult to the parliament, it's just a simple protest. That's not how the BJP sees it. And in the run-up to the inauguration on Sunday, we're only going to see the fireworks snowball, unfortunately. I'm running out of time, but I thank you all gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. Now, we are going to be seeing India get a new parliament on Sunday. And on that day, tradition is going to be playing an important part as well. Prime Minister Modi will be installing a historic emblem of authority near the Lok Sabha Speaker's chair in the new building. It's called the Sengol. It'll play a sacred and significant part in this historical event. A relic of the past rediscovered to mark the dawn of a new era, as the government put it. A symbol of transfer of power from the British to the Indians will now be a symbol of new India, a symbol of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It'll also signify a special outreach to the people of Tamil Nadu. The Prime Minister, remember, has often invoked Tamil in his speeches, the language, the people, the culture. Wearing a veshti, many a times has spoken about his admiration for Tamil classics and for Tamil poets. He's invoked the language even today as he returned from Australia. So here's how this Chola dynasty relic actually made its way into the new parliament. This is how it'll get the pride of place in the parliament in 3 days from now. The Prime Minister will be installing this emblem in the new Parliament. The Sengol is going to be installed near the Lok Sabha Speaker's chair. The installation is expected to happen in the first 2 or 3 hours of the event on Sunday, on the 28th of May. It is going to be ceremoniously transported to the new Parliament first. Adhinams or priests from mutts across Tamil Nadu will be present for this particular procession, for this particular installation. It is going to signify dawn of a new era in democratic history, as Union Home Minister Amit Shah also said just a few days ago. 10 out of the 117 members of the jewelers family that have made the replica, that have made this particular Sengol that is going to be put in the Lok Sabha are going to be in attendance for this particular event. So why have we never heard of this piece of this heritage of this Sengol before? It is a relic of the past. It is a significant part of India's independent history. But why have we never read about it or studied about it in our history books? Well, here's how the Sengol was discovered or rediscovered just months before it is to be installed in the Parliament. Now, it was presented to free India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. It signified the transfer of power from the British to Indians in 1947. With seen an Adhinam, a mutt from Tamil Nadu, commissioned the Sengol to be given to the then Prime Minister in 1947. There were a team of 10 gold craftsmen that completed this Sengol in about 10 to 15 days before it was given to the then Prime Minister. After the transfer of power, the Sengol was forgotten. Nobody knew where it went. It was kept in the Allahabad Museum for years together without anyone from the jewelers family or anyone from these mutts knowing where they were. Thereafter, that scepter was even mislabeled in the museum. It was called the golden walking stick that was gifted to Nehru. No one knew the significance of the Sengol at all. Now, in 2019, the family of jewelers that had crafted this particular piece, this relic, they began search efforts where exactly it was. They eventually realized that it could be tracked down to Allahabad, where it was there in the museum under a mislabeled name. In 2021, during the pandemic, this family made a video about the scepter. It was then that it grabbed headlines. In 2022, that is last year, a renowned dancer wrote to the Prime Minister's office about this particular piece of heritage to locate it and to ensure that we do not lose it. The jewelers then approached by the centre to make a replica, which is what we are going to be seeing installed in the Parliament on this Sunday. We spoke exclusively to the descendants of the creator of the Sengol, listening to what they had to say about this piece of our culture and heritage that will now find its apt place in the Parliament.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amrinder Vimudi. And it's a big day for, I guess, for you. First of all, before I ask you about how you feel about it, can you just explain to our viewers the significance of Sengol and the history behind it?
Thank you for having me on your channel. And very happy to tell you that, as a part of the family, and it is a great moment for our family and for our country. And this Sengol has actually come from this part of the country, which is makes us even more proud. The significance of a Sengol is it's a rule of the land. So whoever is ruling over the land has the Sengol. And the significance is that a lot of people could come and go, but the Sengol always remains the same. It's just to remind the person who's actually ruling it, the previous person ruled it with justice and with the right ethics. You should also do it with the same way.
And what are the parts of the Sengol? Because I believe there's a Nandi there. I was just looking at one of the pictures. So if you could just explain to our viewers what are the different parts and what each of it signifies. And if you have an idea, I'm sure you do, how it was made, how many people were involved in making it, and when was it made?
The Nandi has totally 3 parts. The scepter has 3 parts. The top part is the Nandi. The bottom part, which is it's a little bit more bulged, which has the Lakshmi Ji on it, and below that it has a nice twining design to finish the rest of the bottom. The Nandi is for justice. You would have also seen people in a Shiva temple. They'll go and tell their wishes to the Nandi, and the Nandi tells it to Shiva, and it comes true. So it's also a part of that. And below that, we have the Lakshmi Ji, just to show us prosperity.
What prompted you to write this letter, ma'am?
Well, way back, not too long ago, to be precise, 5/5/2021, dated Tughlaq Tamil magazine had an article written by Shri Gurumurthy ji on the Sengol story. I was very moved with that, and I thought it should be publicized in the proper way, and it was too important in my mind. It was something to do with the very history of our independence. So I wrote a translation of the whole article with a covering letter requesting our Honorable Prime Minister to see if it can be part of 75th year of our independence celebration. That is what I wrote. Wanted this to be part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. But I didn't get any reply immediately. I mean, it is almost 1.5 years. But now I feel elated that it is more than just one celebration. It has come to a point when it will be permanently installed in the very temple of our democracy.
Absolutely.
So it will be standing there erect as a symbol of freedom, symbol of justice, symbol of ethical values for those who govern. So I feel so happy that something from Tamil Nadu went there, and it's a pride for every Indian and for every Tamilian now.
It's time for a quick break here on this edition, but on the other side, we're going to get you a controversy that's boiling over. Why is the big debate happening over Amul versus Arvind? That's coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
मोदी जी का नेतृत्व के नेताओं ने जिस तरीके से आपका अभिनंदन किया, आपका स्वागत किया, गर्मजोशी दिखाई, वह भी आपकी शख्सियत के बारे में बताता है। हमारे अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन साहब जब वो आपसे मिलने आए तो उन्होंने कहा कि मुझे मोदी जी आपका ऑटोग्राफ चाहिए। यह अपने आप में बताता है आज आपके नेतृत्व में आपकी शख्सियत के कारण बदलते भारत को दुनिया किस तरीके से देखती है, यह बताता है। उन्होंने आपसे इस बात की भी चर्चा की कि आपसे मेरी एक शिकायत है, आप अगले महीने हमारे यहां अमेरिका में आने वाले हैं और अमेरिका की सरकार एक स्टेट डिनर रखी है और उस स्टेट डिनर में मुझे लोगों की शिकायतें आ रही हैं कि मुझे भी निमंत्रण चाहिए, आमंत्रण चाहिए, हम भी मोदी जी से मिलना चाहते हैं और इसकी व्यवस्था की जाए। इस तरीके की बातचीत भारत के अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति मोदी जी के बारे में कहते हैं।
While PM Modi returns back to his homeland, we have with us Arun Dhanta joining us on the broadcast. Arun, what more details can you get us from the ground?
Well, see, Prime Minister Modi reached here at Palam Technical Airport around 6, and we had seen that how the response of the BJP workers, and yesterday the clear instructions were given by the BJP chief to all the party workers to gather here early in the morning to welcome Prime Minister Modi. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi also realizing this fact that people are waiting for him almost for the entire night, and therefore thanking them for this response by the BJP workers. And in fact, we had seen Prime Minister Modi, congratulating people of the country, saying that whenever I go out and whatever respect I get from the international community or from the global leaders, it is because of the people of this country, and the respect is not of mine, but it is a respect of the countrymen. And also he is thanking people of the country for giving BJP full majority, because he says that the respect which he gets on the foreign land is because of his full majority government, and it is because of the people. And we had seen that BJP workers were here, and they got this opportunity to watch Prime Minister Modi up close here. Prime Minister Modi spending almost 1 hour coming out of the aircraft at the stage, and then address the gathering. And then we saw the roadshow commencing from this exact spot, which is the Palam Technical Airport. And now Prime Minister Modi is headed to his residence, LKM Marg, and it was a grueling 6 days visit, remember, of Prime Minister Modi, starting with the G7 meeting in Hiroshima, Japan, and then Papua New Guinea, and of course finally concluding it in Australia with a huge show of Indian diaspora in the presence of the Australian Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, and various other top dignitaries and the ministers. So Prime Minister Modi thanking the people of this country that the respect which he gets outside is because of the talent and the people that we have, and of course the culture and the roots that we have is the reason behind that. So it was a very, very special moment for the BJP workers. As we spoke to them, they were saying that it was wonderful opportunity, and it was not a waste. They would call it by coming here, staying awake for the entire night. Everything is completely paid off when Prime Minister Modi came close to them, and they got the opportunity to shower Prime Minister Modi with flower petals.
Well, thank you so much, Arun, for all the latest inputs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi got a rousing welcome by BJP MPs as he landed. Welcome back. You're watching The Right Stand, and the big debate at this hour is coming in from Tamil Nadu. After the Amul versus Nandini controversy in Karnataka, similar controversy is now broken out in Tamil Nadu, and it's between Amul versus Arvind. Chief Minister of the state, M.K. Stalin, has now written a letter to Union Home Minister Amit Shah asking for his intervention to stop Amul from procuring milk from Arvind's milk shed area. Stalin has termed the Gujarat-based dairy cooperatives' move unfortunate. He claims that Amul will create unhealthy competition between cooperatives. The Congress too has echoed that sentiment. They too have waded in this controversy. Congress's Member of Parliament, Jairam Ramesh, alleged that the move is part of BJP's anti-opposition game plan. Well, Tamil Nadu BJP has also come out and hit out at Stalin government. They call this a bid to divert people's attention, going on to say that Arvind's total milk procurement in Tamil Nadu is just about 14%. So why make a hullabaloo about it? Is there more to Stalin's game plan, is what the BJP asks. So let me open this up. Joining us on this broadcast is P. Gandhi, spokesperson of the DMK. Kovai Satyan of the AIADMK also joining us on this broadcast. And Mr. P. Gandhi, let me start by asking you, is this about parochialism? Is this about protectionism by the state government? Is that why we've seen Mr. Stalin write to the Union Home Minister?
Well, thank you for coming me in the debate. First of all, this is not about any protectionism. There are fundamentally three issues here. Firstly, milk is a basic food product. So every state has the responsibility to ensure equitable access to its citizens for this particular product. With this, various states what they have done is they have created a robust infrastructure over a period of time, from sourcing to distribution to even processing. And in Tamil Nadu, Arvind is doing this through various cooperative societies. Same is the case with Karnataka, where Nandini is doing it, and same is the case with Kerala, where Milma is doing it. Now, we do not have any problem with respect to the Amul selling their products, because they are selling these products for decades together.
Sure.
The problem is with respect to sourcing the milk products from these cooperative societies, because these cooperative societies comprises of local population to ensure affordability and to ensure transparency. Now, by taking these cooperative societies, what they are trying to do is they are trying to drive Arvind out of the market so that they can get a monopolistic status and they can dictate the price. This will lead to price rise and also affordability issue.
Sure.
Point number one. Point number two is with respect to the cooperative federalism. See, the problem here is a corporation from Gujarat or a corporation from a particular state cannot be encouraged to source the resources of the other state for commercial exploitation. Here, the state should cooperate with each other for a healthy cooperative federalism. Thirdly, and more importantly, the behavior of BJP ever since it has come to power in 2014. This Amul is also going with respect with the direction of the what we called as the Adani's case. Adani was a mid-level player in 2014, but within 2014 to 2021 or 22, in the 8 years' time, Adani grew by 500 times, and almost all the government contracts, ranging from seaports, ranging from airports, mines, infrastructure, were given to Adani. And Adani, there may be some arrangement between the government or the party and Adani. The same is with respect to Amul also, because Amul, by sourcing today, the dairy industry's value is at 15,000 billion Indian rupees, which is one of the largest in the world. And by 2028, the research says that it may shoot up to 30,000 crores. So this is a kind of crony capitalism the Union BJP government is doing.
But when the BJP comes out and says, Mr. P. Gandhi, that you're just diverting the issue because the overall procurement by Arvind is just about 14% of the actual production. So even if Amul is coming in and using these resources that are meant perhaps only for these cooperatives from the state, but if there is a facility that's available that gives you better logistics, that is more efficient and that can help out not just one cooperative from one particular state but others as well, then what's the problem?
So it cannot be. You can see what happened with respect to Nandri. See, the issue is the government has a duty. The government has a duty to provide milk at an affordable rate to its citizens. That is the reason why cooperative societies are created. If this cooperative, their strategy and design is very clever. If these cooperative societies are dismantled, Arvind cannot do business. And Arvind is not doing a commercial business. It is a social responsibility for the state. That is what they are trying to capture.
Mr. Kovai Satyan, it's a game plan by the central government to ensure that in a fight of cooperatives, it is the one that comes from outside that wins this race.
Writing to Amit Shah, who also heads the Minister of Cooperation, is yet another narrative built by DMK leader Stalin to cover his inefficiencies and incompetence. Arvind, in the last couple of months, is marred with so many allegations and irregularities and scams. There is scarcity of milk. The milks which were available freely during our period, there is scarcity of milk in the urbans. And they say there is no scarcity. The payment for the farmers is delayed beyond the permissible limit of 10 days. Or some places they don't even get paid for a month. When they started selling outside, the government sends a circular to all the cooperative societies pressurizing the farmers not to sell their produce rather than giving answers for the payment. And there were protests, sporadic protests across the state on increasing the procurement price which was promised by DMK during their election manifestos and rallies. There were no answers for the same. And farmers came out in protest and spilled the milk all over the roads. The government was dumb. They didn't even bother to listen. They didn't even had a chat with them. What is going right or what is going wrong? This is what happening in Arvind right now. It is in shambles. There is doldrums. It is in doldrums and shambles. Having said that, the entire narrative of a player, be it a cooperative or any other player coming into Tamil Nadu into milk and milk produce and going to wipe away Arvind is such a shabby argument to suit the political narrative by instigating people. The data will clearly say Arvind's market share is just 16% in Tamil Nadu, the entire dairy. 80% is commanded by the private players. And the question here rises is, one of the private players is a distinct relative of Mr. Stalin. So is his actions really and genuinely towards the interest of Arvind or to protect the private players who are his relatives?
So the interests are your own, Mr. P. Gandhi. That's the allegation. It's not about the dairy cooperative or the people of the state.
No, let me finish. Just one more point to add.
Sure, Mr. Kovai Satyan, go ahead. 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah. Out of 1.25 lakh liters of procurement every day, what they are able to procure out of entire 1.25 lakhs from the farmers, Arvind procures only 38 lakh liters. That is the purchase. And there is a 20% difference between purchase and sales, which means that even Arvind has not optimized their cycle of distribution management. Having glaring inefficiencies since this DMK came to power and spinning a narrative that any entrant is going to wipe out Arvind is such a shabby argument. This is such a shabby narrative trying to instigate people again and again on the rights of Tamilians. This is a desperate attempt to cover his incompetence. Nothing else.
Mr. Gandhi, this is not about wiping out a cooperative from Tamil Nadu because Amul would make an entry, but it's about trying to wipe out the allegations against the DMK. That's what the BJP and both the AIDMK are also alleging.
The issue is entirely different. The issue is not with respect to selling milk products. The issue is with respect to procuring milk through cooperative societies, because these cooperative societies form the backbone of Arvind, which the Arvind was there even in the AIDMK government, not only with the DMK government. There may be minor issues, both with the DMK period or with the AIDMK period in any department. That is a different case altogether. But here what Amul is trying to do is, Amul is trying to capture this infrastructure by procuring milk and sourcing milk from the local farmers through these cooperative societies. This is what we are objecting.
No, that's wrong.
This is what we are objecting.
No, that's
wrong. This is what, because their intention is to dismantle this infrastructure so that the Arvind will be closed forever, so that they can have a monopolistic status. This is the issue. The issue is not with respect to market share. The issue is not with respect to the sale. The issue is not even with respect to somebody owning a farm and procuring milk from their own farm. You are trying to dismantle the infrastructure which was created by the state for the benefit of the people. This is nothing but crony capitalism.
No, that's wrong.
It's an assault on the state's resources.
No, that's wrong.
That's the allegation that the DMK makes, which is why they've written to the Union Home Minister as well.
And through this Arvind, there is nothing called incompetency or nothing called incompetency of the government or anything. Here is an issue. Here is a fundamental issue which has happened in Karnataka. Today it is happening in Tamil Nadu. Tomorrow it may happen in Kerala. And the whole idea is to capture the large industry, which is 15,000 billion rupees, and which is growing up to 30,000 billion rupees, so that there can be a quid pro quo arrangement between the Union BJP government and Amul in Gujarat. Why these favors are only given to Gujarat companies? Nobody else.
Mr. Kovai Satyan, I'm running short of time, but 30 seconds.
No, 30 seconds. The Ministry of Cooperation came into force by 2021 when Stalin took over as a CM. And one of the vision in that is development of cooperative societies. And what were their 38 MPs doing in the parliament for so long? Were they sleeping? And look at the narrative saying that they are going to take away everything. You mean to say that 4.5 lakh farmers who are supplying milk to Arvind and 9,673 cooperative societies set up in the state is going to get wiped away overnight? What narrative are trying to spin? Face the challenge. It's not Amul today. It could be XYZ tomorrow. Get your house in order. I am not defending Amul.
So is this about imposition and assault on the state's resources, or is this just about setting a narrative, and which side really is trying to do that? That debate continues, but unfortunately I'm completely out of time. I thank you both gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Zaka Jacob joins you next.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The opening of the new Parliament building is fast turning into a political spectacle. What should have been a moment of national pride is now turning into a political football between the government and the opposition. More than 20 opposition parties have boycotted the event because they feel the president should rightfully be inaugurating it. In fact, there's also now a petition before the Supreme Court asking for a correction, asking that the president inaugurate the Parliament building and not the Prime Minister. The NDA is not taking things lying low either. The NDA says more than 20 like-minded parties are attending the ceremony and that the Prime Minister, as the head of the government, the head of a democratically elected government, is the right person to be inaugurating a building that's going to last for another 100, 200, maybe even 300 years. The question is, this is a Parliament building not just for the ruling party, not just for the current Prime Minister, not just for the current dispensation. This is a Parliament for all of India, for democracy. Why is the opposition boycotting it? Why can't a middle ground be found? And what may that middle ground be? Because to find that middle ground, the government will have to walk the extra mile.
चाहे पक्ष सत्ता का हो, चाहे पक्ष विपक्ष का हो, सबके सब मिलजुल करके भारतीय समुदाय के इस कार्यक्रम में उतने ही उमंग और उत्साह के साथ शरीक हुए थे।
Leaders belonging to these very same opposition parties spoke ill of her, abused her, and today suddenly they become morally motivated.
Because of the arrogant nature of this government, they are not ready to do that. They are insulting the president, they are insulting the women of the country, they are insulting the tribals of this country.
ये सिंगोल कहां से आ गया? ये सिंगोल तो एक धार्मिक मान्यता का प्रतीक है। तो भारत हमारा कोई धार्मिक देश तो है नहीं, तो ये सीधे सीधे बुद्ध धर्म से जुड़े हुए अशोक चिन्ह हमारी भारतीय जनता पार्टी सरकार को बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रहा।
सदभवन के उद्घाटन समारोह में हम लोग नहीं जाएंगे, इसलिए कि इतिहास को बदलने का प्रयास होगा।
हमने पहले ही कहा कि हम इससे दूर रहेंगे, हम उसमें शिरकत नहीं करेंगे। मामला उसूलों का है, मामला मर्यादा का है, सम्मान का है।